Hey, welcome to Steph's world, the world according to Steph. Um, let's see, we're going to call this chapter 15, and I think I got too much light in here. This is my special room, but it's full of windows, and it's cool. It really is. It'd be any person's dream place. It really would. And this is my dream place. This is the place I go to meditate, to do the videos now, uh, to do a lot of things, to read, to write. Um, I don't use my office anywhere near as much as I thought I was going to. But if I look kind of strange right now, it's because I messed up my teeth. So we'll get them back. We'll get them back. Oh, yeah, I got to get this back on. I take this off when I meditate. Um, and I just got done meditating. Um, I definitely went somewhere. I can tell you that. And it wasn't anywhere around here. Now, you're probably saying to yourself, yeah, right. Well, go ahead, say it. It doesn't bother me any. I know the truth. I do. And, I put out a video about how to meditate. I don't know if any of you paid any attention to it, but I did. I got one more window open. I'm going to get rid of that one too. Oh boy. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, the kids next door almost came in today. I that's going to be such a cool moment when those kids come in. I love those children. And I'm getting ready to write this blog. I keep telling you that, but this is the truth. I am going to write this blog. I have it all laid out. I really do, and I'm afraid it's going to be huge. I really am. I'm afraid it's going to be a lot bigger than a blog. I'm not even sure what. It might be, for all I know, it could be maybe a little book. But it's going to be, I promise you, it's going to be interesting. If you read any of my democracy things, then you'll know that I do have a little bit of talent, okay? I wrote 3 pieces to that, and they were important. They talked about our democracy today. They talked about democracy in Greece. And that's where it really started, was in Greece. And it talked a little bit about how it got started, what their democracy was like. I really went into pretty great detail. But whether anybody paid any attention, who knows? Who knows? Because unfortunately, I hate to say it, but, and I'm going to say it because somebody needs to say it. It appears that most people are not, they don't want to read past a paragraph, and that's it. On Google Plus, they put out these little things out there, and that's it. That's all they want to read. And it's like, wow, wow, what happened to us? But something has to change. We have to stop this. And I'm guilty of it too. I have found that, I really have to force myself to, okay, we're going to read this other person's blog now. And I also have to do this. And we're going to honor and respect this person's blog. We're not going to judge them according to how we write. Everybody's different. Everyone. There are some designated rules. There really are. I took a lot of writing classes, and I had a fantastic teacher, professor, and she passed away before I got done with that school, and oh my God, it was a shock. She was only 49 years old, and she died. And she was one of my favorite teachers. She really was. Very cool. But anyway, so what are we going to talk about today? We talked about love, and nobody seemed interested in that. So we're going to talk about some other things about life that we need to pay attention to. First of all, I have a neighbor right next door, and she's got 3 kids. She just had a brand new baby. She looks like a model. It's unbelievable. I used to look pretty good after I had my children too, but this gal, man, she's got everybody beat. It's unreal. There's never any tummy at all, hardly, and I've just never seen that in my life. But the point is that when she found out she was pregnant with their 3rd child, and I've known them since I moved in. They moved in right around the same time I moved in to my home. We were the only people we all knew, other than he had some family here. And so we became friends, and we've been friends ever since. And of course, I'm 60 years old, so there's a big difference between the 28-year-olds and Steph. But that's okay, they don't care. They honor and respect the fact that I am 60 years old, and but they're real honest with me. If I say something that they take wrongly, like if I speak spiritually and I act like what they are doing spiritually is not the right thing, they've let me know. I accidentally made comments and didn't even realize it. So, no good. We don't do things like that. And I didn't even realize I had done that. So I made amends. hmm Making amends is not that hard. All you're doing is you're saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's that simple. But mean it. Mean it. Now, the thing about these people is this. It's the way they're raising their children. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Now, in a way, my daughter did the same thing with my grandchildren and is still doing it. I mean, they're not fully grown up yet, but they're getting close. And, they go to church every Sunday, most of the time. It's a regular routine, and they're active in the church. And they've given the children stability, and the girls have lived in this one house most of their lives. And they don't see me hardly at all, which is the sad part. But they do see their other grandmother all the time, constantly, and their other grandfather, constantly. But it does bring stability into their lives, and that is vital, absolutely vital. And I know because as much as I tried, I did not bring that much stability into my children's lives. I did my best. When you have bad pickers, which I had the worst pickers in the world, and you hang out with motorcycle groups, and you got a bunch of tattooed friends, and it's a wild side of town. That was my life for many years. Even though I was educated, I had a great job, but when I got done with work, well, hopefully got done, because they would call me anytime, day or night. But when I thought that I was done with work, it was have fun with the kids, or have fun with my friends, or you know, get away from things. And I never felt like there was a problem with that. Well, there isn't a problem with that. But what there was a problem with was I never picked out a church for these kids to get involved in. I didn't take them to church. I did when they were babies, but they don't remember. But I don't have regrets. It was as it was. That's the way life is. Okay? No shoulda, woulda, couldas. We don't do that. So I did not do that. Now, even though I tried to get them into good stability as quickly as I could, because at one point in time, we were homeless. Yeah, we were homeless. Um, their father was doing some very bad things to me, and um, he was having serious problems of his own, and they were spilling over to me, and I felt like my life was in danger. And it wasn't just my life. I felt like my children's lives were being terribly affected by all of this. So we left. I packed up my little Gremlin X and put the kids in there, and about every 500 miles it would break down, and I'd have to fix it or figure out what the heck was the problem, and I'd fix it. Sometimes somebody would offer to help and we'd get it fixed, but it was rough. I had not too many places to go. Yes, I had a big family, but I was the oldest. My children were babies, okay? Well, anyway, my sister was, I don't know, just a few months from getting ready to get married. And we were close. We were really close. Oh man, we were very close. So, um, I tried to go to her place and stay there and see if I could find a job where she lived. Nope, 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 nope. Hadn't lived there long enough, so it wasn't going to work out. Didn't know anybody. So it was a small town anyway. I'll be honest with you. It was too small for me. Okay. My father said, I've heard this before, by the way, well, come to our house. We'll help you. Yeah, I went to his house. A week and a half later, I was being told, well, you and the kids have to go. Hmm. That was not unusual, believe me. And that was the third and last time that I ever let my father pretend that, or I don't know what he was doing. I think he really did want to help, but when you don't tell your wife that you invite your children back home again, we got a problem. And he didn't do any of that. So she never even knew why I was coming to stay, you know? Well, anyway, the point is, a week and a half later, I'm being told, well, you and your children have to get back in the car and hit the road. So I did. And we were homeless. Now, I went to my grandmother's in the Kansas City area. And during the day, we could, stay in her house and visit and try to figure out what my next moves were going to be. Grandma couldn't take care of my kids. My daughter was 2 years old, not even 2 years old yet. Her birthday was coming up, but they were good kids, but there was no way Grandma could do it. And I love my grandmother, but she had a lot of issues in life. She really did. And but she did that much for me. She made sure that we were not completely out on the streets. So at night, I would park my car in her driveway of her little teeny tiny uh, duplex that she lived in. This thing was the smallest duplex I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, so I'd park my car in there, and then at night, the kids and I would sleep out in the car. If you don't think that was hard, guess again. Guess again. Well, one night I decided that this is it. Something's got to change. I cannot keep doing this to my children. And I wasn't getting any money, by the way, from their father. I had a certain amount of money to work with, and that was it. Wasn't much. Not much at all. So I went ahead and picked out a very cheap motel. and we spent the night in a motel, and the kids were excited, you know. And I read them books, and I loved them. Told them how much Mommy loved them, and that everything would be all right. We'd get through this. Just hang in there, 'cause we would get through it. And you know, my son Matt, he was, um, let's see, Rachel was going to be 2. He was 4 years old. And he was having a pretty rough time because we had left his daddy. But he had kind of gotten over it or accepted it by then. He wasn't crying a lot anymore. I tried to explain to him that it wasn't that he was never going to see his daddy again. It was just that for right now, we couldn't be with his daddy. And that was not a lie. Well, anyway, they went to sleep. And I was absolutely desperate. So I got on my hands and knees and I literally said, if there is a God, I need help now. And I said it as deeply, I meant every word. And I asked if there was a God to please help me raise these children. Give them a decent life. But I'm not going to go into detail why things were the way they were. I'm just not. Not today. But just trust me when I tell you that my husband at the time and I honestly did try. But after I had my daughter, something happened. He just couldn't handle it. I don't think he could handle it before I had her, but we'll just leave it at that, okay? Anyway, so I did my prayer to whatever, because I didn't know what I believed in. I had no idea. And, you know, even though I went to a Catholic school for 8 years, that didn't matter. I hardly believed in much of that ever. So, for me, the Catholic religion was simply not the religion for me. If there was a religion, that wasn't it. Okay, so the next day, I know this is going to sound unbelievable, but the next day, we went back into the house, you know, at Grandma's, and we got a phone call from my sister, Liz, and she said, hey, Steph, I've been thinking, why don't I take the kids for about a month while you get yourself together in Kansas City, while you get a home, a job, or whatever. Just try to get yourself together. I probably can only do it for a month, but, you know, at least that's some time. And I thought, wow, thank you. I said, you bet. We'll be out there. We'll be out there. We're coming out. And I told my kids what we were doing. Of course, Rachel was not very old, but, You know, she was a smart little whip. She understood. She really did. But I assured them that Mama would be there every week, which I was. Every day off, I went out there. It was 2 days in a row, and every 2 days, that's where I was at, no matter what. I made sure my children knew that their mother did not leave them. They had already been pulled away from their father. I wasn't going to have them feel like their mommy left them too. So I did that. And guess what? I came back the next day. I found a job the very next day. It was working as a cocktail waitress, but hey, I'd been a bartender. I I knew how to do this kind of stuff. That was okay with me. Not a problem. And I knew I could make a lot of money doing it too. So I was hoping that, I could find an apartment or something for us while, you know, while I did all this. Well, anyway, my cousin lived there. I had a bunch of cousins that lived there actually, but one of them had been a close cousin to me, and she knew that I was in need of help. And she said, "Hey, there's a place across the street from me, a townhouse that is for sale." Now, by for sale, what that meant was that you put in, I can't remember what it's called today, but you basically buy into it, and then if you ever sell it, you get money, quite a bit of money back out of it, or at least that's the idea behind it. I don't think it really works that way usually, but now when I made the deal with these people, and I called everybody I knew, it was $1,000 I had to come up with, and I called everybody I knew about, you know, borrowing $500 because I knew I could get the 500 of it, but I couldn't get any of my older relatives to lend me anything. Nothing. Not my parents, not anybody. And I thought, this is a home for your grandchildren. But, can't do that. Now, I did it back then, but you cannot do that. They have their reasons. And sometimes we just have to accept no and not get angry. That's life. No. Those are some tough words to have to hear. No. I'm going to have to do the no to my own daughter pretty soon. It's almost her birthday. And I used to give her money or whatever she really wanted. I used to give it to her. And she doesn't speak to me anymore, so I'm just going to send her, I bought her a beautiful card, and I hope she reads it. And all it's going to do is tell her how much I love her, how much I miss her, which I do. But you know what? I'm all right. I can't make another person do anything. None of us can. If she doesn't want to have a relationship with her mother, that's her business. Now, the reason things are like this probably has a lot to do with how I raised those kids. hmm But not all of it. Not all of it. So, and I'm not going to get into it because I really don't have time. But there were reasons in their teenage years I had to go out of town for work. I was a computer programmer, and when you did that, sometimes you had to go to the place and work on the problem or whatever it was. And no matter how hard you tried to get it fixed from where you were at, it didn't always work out. So I did my best. But usually I could take one of the company, okay, this is going to sound cool, but it wasn't. Usually I could take one of the company jets and fly on that and have it be a 1 day thing. So I wouldn't even have to spend the night anywhere. And it'd just be like I went to work and I had to work late. That's all. So really, yes, I did have to leave the kids a few times. Absolutely. And sometimes for a long time, a week and a half, 2 weeks. That's a long time when you have teenagers. And one thing I will say is that what my daughter did was she got involved with a young man, and by the time she was 18, we were getting her married. And by the time she was 18, I had a granddaughter. So, you know, that's life. When she was a little girl, she told me, she said, Mommy, I want to be a wife. That's what she said. And she also said, I want to have 4 children. I want to be a wife and I want to have 4 children. Well, she had 3. I always wished she would have had the 4th child. I always wish she would have had a little boy. But she's turning 35, so she's not that old. She's still capable of having children. Her husband isn't, but she is. Okay, we're going to stop there. Now, I am going to read, but I want to talk to you real quick. The difference between me dragging my children around when they were little and not having a home to live in, but finally finding a place, which we did. I did get us stabilized, but it took a while. These people, man, they're stable. Wow. The husband and the wife work together with those children. They go to church every Sunday. He's very involved in church. I'm sure she is too. And I don't care what kind of church it is because it doesn't matter. Those children need something greater than themselves to believe in. They need it. And I didn't realize that till I was in my 40s. My kids were gone when I finally realized, oops. And not only did they need it, I needed it. You bet I did. So, I took a lot of different classes, shall we say. And I took a metaphysics class, and that was really great. Now, This book is so cool. All right? It is so cool. It's called Herman's Magical Universe, and it is about uh, the laws of the universe. They call it the 7 laws of the universe. Now, I'm in a philosophy class, and they might disagree with this, and they do, believe me. But I don't believe you can disagree with these. If I read them to you right now, I think you would agree. Okay, now I'm going to read this, whether you're anything at all, I don't care. What it says is good. Now, this is part of the Beatitudes. Jesus Christ taught people something so important. It was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And the problem is today we've lost sight of that. But they haven't. But I haven't. I'm learning it now. Okay, what I was on was this. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Now, I'm going to read a little bit of the beginning of this, then I'm going to skip over to something else about it. On the surface, this beatitude seems to have very little meaning, and what there is seems to be obviously contradicted by the plain facts of everyday life. No sensible person, on looking about the world or studying history, could sincerely accept this saying at its face value. And most honest Christians have passed it by in practice with a regretful feeling that no doubt that is how things ought to be, but that they certainly are not so in fact. But this attitude will not do. Sooner or later, the soul reaches a point where evasions and sophistries have to be discarded once and for all, and the fact of life faced squarely at whatever cost. Now, either Jesus meant what he said, or he did not. And either he knew what he was talking about, or he did not. And so, if this saying is not to be taken seriously, we are driven to the position that no Christian will care to accept. Either that Jesus was saying that he did not really believe as unscrupulous people do, or that he was talking nonsense. We have to face up to this situation at the very beginning of our study on this Sermon on the Mount. Either Jesus is to be taken seriously, or he is not to be taken seriously, and in which case his teaching should be dropped altogether and people should cease to call themselves Christians. To pay lip service to his name, to say that Christianity is a divinely inspired truth, to boast of being Christians, and then quietly to evade in practice all the definite implications of his teaching, is hypocrisy and weakness of the most utterly fatal kind. Either Jesus is a reliable guide or he is not. If he is to be relied upon, then let us pay him the compliment of assuming that he meant what he said and that he knew best about the art of living. The trouble and sorrow that humanity suffers are really due to the very fact that our mode of life is so opposed to the truth that the things that he taught and the things that he said seem to us at first sight to be foolish and wild. Shucks. Foolish and wild? No, I lived the foolish and wild life for a while. This is not foolish and wild, okay? I got news for you. The fact is that when correctly understood, the teaching of Jesus is found to be not only true, but exceedingly practicable. Indeed, it is the most practicable of all doctrines. We find then that he was no sentimental dreamer, no mere dealer of empty platitudes, but the unflinching realist that only a great mystic can be. Yes, Jesus was a mystic. I've found people that don't understand that. But he was. I got news for you. He was, especially in his time. You betcha. You betcha. Okay, so, and the whole essence of his teaching, of its practical applications, is summed up in this text. This beatitude is among the half dozen most important verses in the Bible. When you possess the spiritual meaning of this text, you have the secret of dominion, the secret of overcoming every kind of difficulty. Every kind of difficulty. Now, I just told you about an extreme difficulty that happened in my life, and that was just one of many. One of many. I didn't have the Beatitudes, but I did get on my knees and pray. So, it is literally the key of life. It is the Jesus Christ message reduced to a single sentence. This gnomic saying is actually the philosopher's stone of the alchemist that turns the base metal of limitation and trouble into the gold of comfort or true harmony. Okay, I am going to stop there because it's 43 minutes. Now, but I'm going to read the rest of this to you because you need it. And it says amazing things. Absolutely amazing things. And I hope that you really do pay attention to it. I really do. I hope you start listening to this. And don't do judgment stuff, man. Stop that crap. We're not supposed to be judging, okay? If you don't like what some people are doing, just don't like it. Accept it. Okay, you don't like it. You don't like your neighbor doing something over there. Somebody's doing something across the street that's making a real loud noise, and I don't like it, but you know what? I'm not going to run out there like a crazy woman and go and tell them to stop it. No, I'm not. I'm just going to mind my own business. So I love all of you. I really do. Love and light to you. I went into the light today, whether you believe it or not. I did. I will talk to you soon, and I love you.